We won't talk about that, Mark. Mark Keaton's here from the Extension Baxter County Extension Service. Thank you so much for being here.
Well, glad to be here.
I know you're busy this time of year. You're busy every part of the year, I'm sure, because your business just keeps rotating from season to season to season. Mm-hmm. But this weather has just been horrid this year, as far as no rain.
Terrible.
And I'm sure that you get calls all the time from farmers and different people and say, "What am I going to do about my empty pond? And what am I going to do about this? What am I going to do about that?" Tell us about what the rain has done to this area.
Or lack of.
Lack of, yeah.
What is the lack of rain?
Well, I mean, as far as the, livestock producers, of course, a lot of them have ponds are dry, and some of them pretty low, so they've been, hauling water, and also their pastures, they don't have any grass, and the hay crop was down, so a lot of people have had to sell some or most of their cattle.
Yeah.
And
does that make the prices of cows go
well,
up? Or?
There for a while they went down because everybody, it wasn't just Arkansas. It's pretty much all over. So people were doing the same thing, and nobody could buy them to take them to put them on pastures or anything. So the prices went down, and then of course the prices of the feed. It's went up because the crops, aren't going to be as good as normal. And
sure.
So it's just kind of it's been pretty bad, and hopefully, they're talking about getting rain tomorrow and Friday. Hopefully we'll get a good rain and continue to get rain and maybe get some, fall pastures.
Yeah, I listened to the radio coming over here, and they were saying that the fall color is going to be affected by all that because there's not enough rain in the ground or not enough moisture in the ground to even if it rained now, it wouldn't affect it.
Well, and I think, too, a lot of the trees, they have lost a lot of their leaves. Some of them have turned brown. And so, I'd say more than likely it's probably not going to be a very good fall color at all.
Yeah. So what about gardeners? What do we need to be doing this time of year?
Well, as far as like vegetable gardens, I mean, you could still plant like some of your short season, warm season crops like squash and cucumbers and bush beans, but you need to do it pretty quick because our recommended cutoff is like right today, the 15th. Okay. Mm-hmm. And now some of the cool season vegetables, you could still plant them, and that would be like lettuce, radishes, turnips, and beets, and some things like that. And of course, like if you're interested in a planting guide, we have a planting guide at the office, and you can stop by and pick it up, or call, and we can mail it to you. Mm-hmm. And then, I mean, there's other things too, like with any of your trees and shrubs, if you can keep them watered, you need to keep them watered because there's going to be, a lot of plants lost if you haven't been keeping them watered from this drought that we've had this year. Mm-hmm. And
now you're going to be at the fair, I guess, in a week or so, and
here in
2 weeks.
Here, I guess it starts the 11th of September.
Yeah,
so we'll be up there at the county fair, and hopefully we'll have plenty of rain by then and cool weather. And
counting on a lot, aren't you?
Yeah.
Hopefully, the weatherman says it's going to rain, and then, we don't get any of it sometimes. So it's a hit and miss.
Right. Yeah. It just kind of depends on where you're at, if you get any, and how much.
Yeah. Has it affected anything else? This rain, has it affected anything that you wouldn't think it was going to affect? Plants and animals.
Well, I mean, of course, like on trees. I mean, you can see some of them have turned brown, and they're probably, not going to make it, probably dead, and we'll probably lose some more on down the road, even though it looks like they didn't die. It can be a few years down the road before they end up dying from a drought. So it doesn't just have to be that year
so
that
it's a
you
long-term
have it.
thing, yeah.
It could, it could die the year that you have a drought, or it could even be, 5 years or so down the road.
Yeah.
Now, how severe is this current drought, as in, like, how long has it been since it's been this dry kind of thing?
From what they're saying comparing this drought, I've heard back in the one in the 50s, and then I've even heard, some people saying back in the 30s. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's really dry because, last year we had a drought, and then we didn't have much rain over the winter and spring to build up the subsoil moisture. So we were already kind of dry as far as the subsoil moisture going into the year in the spring and summer, and then we didn't get normal spring rains. So I mean, there's no subsoil moisture at all.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, I've seen some people that have ponds, and there might be a little bit of moisture in it, but you could walk across it with no problem at all. I mean, it is dry.
Well, Crooked Creek was dry. Crooked Creek always dries up at the end of the summer because I grew up in Yellville, but Crooked Creek was dry like up in early June.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, and Buffalo River down there where you cross the bridge, you look down and go, that's what it's supposed to look like in mid-July, not mid-June.
It was. Yeah, like you were saying, like when we were like in June, it looked like we were up in like August,
As dry as everything is, and driving back and forth like between here and Little Rock, and just you look out the windows of the cars and everything on the other side.
Well, it's a cycle though, isn't it? I mean,
well,
hopefully, I mean, I don't like to go through it. I'm sure none of us do.
But hopefully it is, and next year will be a good year.
And then we could be complaining about it's too much rain.
Well, we're never happy, are we?
Never happy, are we?
Everybody loved the mild winter. Just a few months ago, we were all carrying on about a wonderful winter, and I remember a lot of people saying, "Oh, Bobby, horrible this summer." I thought, "Don't ruin it,"
Yeah.
Now, do you follow woolly worms and stuff like that?
No.
No. The spoons.
I thought you might have had a pamphlet on how to do all that stuff.
I know
some people do, but we don't. But, and another thing, a lot of pastures, were probably lost a lot of grass, and a lot of farmers are going to be having to overseed this fall with grass because they've lost a lot of their pasture.
Yeah.
Now, do they have to wait for moisture to overseed, though?
Well,
wait for good rain, or?
You don't have to wait for the moisture. I mean, if we have a normal fall and have the rain, then you can plant, like as long as it's the right time to plant, like around, depending on what you're planting, you'll start doing that in September. But you can plant when it's dry, and then when we get the rain, then it'll germinate as long as we continue getting the rains and get established. So you don't have to have soil moisture to do it.
Well, what about people like me who would never occur to me to water my yard? I just leave my yard alone. People who like a nice, pretty yard, have they any danger of, losing? I mean, yard comes back, doesn't it? No matter how dry it's been?
No. Not that. Depends on like your tall fescue grass, which a lot of people have in their lawns. If you didn't water it over the summer, you probably lost a lot of it. And then, of course, Bermuda, most of the time, if you don't water it, it'll go dormant, and then when you have a rain, it'll green back up. Okay. It's pretty hardy. Now, your zoysia, if you had a zoysia lawn, you'd want to keep it watered during dry weather too. And then, now your fescue, for homeowners, if they had a fescue lawn, they're going to need to start looking at reseeding that in September with more tall fescue grass seed.
Well,
I just ignore my backyard's not so bad. There's lots of shade, but my front yard looks. I haven't needed to mow.
It's not been a very. You haven't had to mow very often.
Not a very profitable year for lawn services.
Right.
And I know some people that have just been desperate for work because that's a livelihood.
Because as dry as it's been, unless you watered, you didn't have to mow very often at all.
I know a guy that works for resorts around here, and he said, I haven't worked but 1 week.
Yeah. Well, like I said, there'll be those little tufts here and there that you can kind of knock down, but I mean, as far as yard, no. It's too dry to grow.
Always great information, Mark. Appreciate you being here. And if you need information on anything outside cattle or garden or plants or whatever, you need to call the extension service down there and talk to Mark. Is there anybody else down there that they can talk to also?
We have a family and consumer science agent, and then we have a 4-H agent.
Okay.
And so those are other areas that we work in. And then about anything that deals with agriculture, we deal in that. And we have a lot of information. You can go to our website, which is www.uaex.edu, and we have a lot of information on our website.
Okay.
And you'll be at the fair.
Yep. At the fair.
Yep. We there.
Drop by and say hello. Yeah. Thanks, Mark. Appreciate
it. Thank you.
All right.
I appreciate it.
Up next, we have Marion Sherman.
Marion and Bailey.
Bailey's here,
Marion
and we're
Bailey.
going to be, you'll be doing that segment.
I'll do that segment. I've forgotten how to do that.
Yeah, we'll see you in just a couple minutes.